Hi, this is Glenda, and I wanted to show you how to make the bunnies for this soap. I'm using soap dough or moldable soap to make them. I start with an oval shape made out of soap dough, and I press it on the sides so it becomes flat, and then I press it from the top and the bottom so that it has almost like a triangular shape, but not an even triangle. Then I'm going to take a piece of soap dough to create the body of the bunny, and this is going to be somewhat of a teardrop shape. I am going to prepare the spot where I'm going to adhere it to the head by doing an indentation with my finger. However, if you have any sort of sculpting tools, that will be very handy. And now I'm shaping it. I'm not really particular about what shape the body is because it's going to be covered mostly by the legs and also by the tail, although the tail is not going to be seen because I'm going to be sinking this into the soap. I'm making also indentations where I'm going to place the legs, and the legs are just some oval elongated forms, and I press them into the soap, and then I push the bottom so that it creates the feet. So you see it starts long, and then as I push it up, it's shaping the feet, and it's also adhering the feet to the body. Here I realized that my body was too small, so I'm adding a piece on the back. Like I said before, this is not going to be seen, so I'm not really peculiar about how I go about it. Ideally, from the get-go, you would have made a larger body. In my case, I realized it was too small until after adding the legs. So I'm just going to add a larger piece on the back to make the body bigger. Now I'm ready to make the ears. For that, I'm grabbing a small piece of soap dough and I'm rolling it into an elongated form. I'm pressing the bottom, that will be the tip, and then I'm going to add it to the head on one side. I'm going to repeat the process for the opposite side. Meanwhile, I'm using my fingers to try to squeeze it in together. And for this, there is a tool that is very helpful that I probably should have been using. I just didn't have it handy. And I'm gonna show it on the screen. It is like a rubber tip tool. I use that a lot when I'm sculpting if I have it close by because you can smooth soap dough in, and you can also create indentations to add the pieces, the additional accessories to your pieces. Because I don't have it and I don't want the lines of the ears to be visible, I'm just using my fingers to smooth that out so that it looks like it's one piece, at least on the side of the cheeks. And I'm doing the same for the legs where they're joining the body so that it looks smooth. This is pretty much the bulk of the bunny done. Now I'm going to add the details. I'm grabbing a small piece, a tiny piece of pink soap dough, and I'm going to split even a smaller piece to create the nose. It can be tricky dealing with such tiny pieces of soap dough. However, as you practice, this becomes easier. It's also helpful if you have tools. If you feel you can't handle them, you can use like tweezers or something like that to put them in. I'm going to make a quick adjustment to the legs, and then I'm going to set it apart so that I can prepare the black soap dough. So now I'm just going to grab tiny pieces of black soap dough to create the eyes. The smaller you can make them, I believe it gives you a more delicate detail on the piece. And what I'm doing is just grabbing a small piece, rolling it into something oval or round, and then I'm just going to adhere it to the face, one on each side. It helps if you have a pointy tool to create an indentation because then the eye has a place in which it can sink into. Then you just repeat the process for the opposite eye. Next, I'm going to make the mouth, and for this I'm rolling a tiny piece of black soap dough again into a very thin snake shape, and with this I'm going to put it underneath the nose. And as you will be able to see, it gave me some trouble because I was trying to cut it and then it got all curved or twisted, and then it wasn't staying in the very spot where I wanted it to be. It was coming back on my finger. It would have helped if I had done like a line indentation, and then it would have had a spot to stick to. So I started using this small metal tool to cut the part that I needed to cut, and then to create each side of the mouth. I also managed to curve it upwards so that it looks like if he's smiling. Doing the first one wasn't as difficult, but when I tried to do the opposite one, it didn't want to stick. So I did an indentation of where I wanted the black soap dough to stay, and you may be able to see here, it's just like the other half of the mouth. And even so, it was still giving me trouble. It tried to come off, but in the end, I was able to make it stay. And this was it. I did some final details. I added some details on the feet in the front. Later this week, I will publish the video of the soap in which I use them, and hopefully you can join me then. Bye.